Well, welcome everybody to the Purpose People podcast. We're really excited to have one of our friends who helped us get our B Corp, and he's going to be talking about all things B Corp and all things purpose led. So it totally aligns to what we're doing on the show. So welcome, Andy. Lovely to have you.
Thanks, Daryl. Great to be here.
Cool. So let's tell a little bit about your backstory. You've got an origin story in terms of doing life one way and then changing to go another. So do you want to just share a little bit about what you currently do, but then where it all began?
Yeah, so right now I help clients go through B Corp, and over the last couple of years I've helped in the region of about 200 businesses go on their B Corp journey.
Yeah.
But I started life in Bristol selling tech. I was in tech sales for about 20 years.
Yeah.
At age 30-ish, got married, moved to Devon, lived in a little thatched cottage down by the sea. Life was good.
Yeah.
Age 40, as a family, we decided to take a gap year and headed out to South Africa and worked in a township just outside of Cape Town in a place called Somerset, bizarrely.
Wow.
So we moved Devon to Somerset, but it was 10,000 miles.
And there was probably sun there as well.
And there was a lot of sun.
Yeah,
there was a lot of sun. We thought we were going to be there for a year and ended up staying for 6 years.
Wow.
So it was an adventure. And I think in that time, working in the community, doing football-based life skills project with the police and health education programs and all sorts of different things. During that time, I think that was when I got bitten by the purpose bug to do something purposeful with life.
Yeah, yeah.
Came back to the UK 2010, 2011. Got back into IT and tech, mainly in recycling initially, and then a few different jobs, and ended up my last paid job was selling AI software into the fintech business.
Yep.
Sold a £50 million or a deal that saved a bank £50 million.
Wow.
Which sounds kind of,
sounds good for them.
Sounds great for them.
Yeah.
But it didn't really feel like it was ticking the purposeful box. So
yeah.
Just coming up for 3 years ago now, I started iTech for Good, a small tech consultancy.
Yeah.
Which Creation helped with, which was when we really first met.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, way back when.
And then I put that through B Corp, got B Corp. And the day after I got B Corp, you gave me a call and said, Andy, can you help me with B Corp? Which, of course, we were happy to do. And then within a month, I'd had 5 mates ring me saying, Andy, can you help us with B Corp? So that was when I really started thinking, let's do that. And then 2.5 years ago was Bristol Tech Fest.
Yeah.
So we started our B Corp cohort approach as part of Bristol Tech Fest in 2020. And since then, we've done 25, 30 cohorts, helping smaller businesses to give them a sort of more cost-effective, accessible entry point into getting some B Corp support.
So obviously we know B Corp really well because it was something that we put on my radar. It took us a while to get. Obviously, there was a journey with yourself, and we had many people in our business working on it because our original admin then got pregnant, and then she come out of the business obviously to have a child, so we handed over to somebody else, and that moved around. So eventually, I think Nathan and the team worked very close with you to get the last little bits over the line, and we managed to achieve it. But can you explain to us what B Corp actually is? Because there are people here going, I don't know what B Corp is. Can you tell me? So just explain a little bit. What is it? Why would you do it?
Yeah, sure. Well, in a nutshell, I explain that B Corp is to business what fair trade is to coffee.
Yeah.
So if you want to go into your local store and buy coffee, tea, chocolate, whatever, if you see that fair trade mark, you know that there's some decent provenance behind it. Someone's audited them. Someone's looked at that to make sure that there's lesser risk of exploitation happening in that.
Yeah.
So how do you do that with a business? Every business is going to say, we're a great business. Please come trade with us. That's a given.
Yeah.
But how do you know you can trust that? In the same way as how do you know that you can trust that jar of coffee?
Yeah.
So seeing the B Corp mark is a really good way of initially working out which companies are out there that are using business not just as a way of generating a profit, but also using business to be a force for good. And that's the main strapline of B Corp, is using business as a force for good.
So are there famous B Corps at the moment? Are there any big organisations that we may have heard of? I know, obviously, everyone would have heard of Creation by now, so we're a B Corp. But is there any others that you know that we may have heard as a company?
Yeah, well, Creation's obviously top of the tree. That goes without saying. But there's brands like Patagonia that you might have heard of. Finisterre are also B Corp. Tony's Chocolonely, Innocent Drinks. But there's also major corporates like Unilever that are putting their individual business groups through B Corp. So they might have 20, 30 large organizations themselves, and they're putting each of those large organizations through the B Corp program. So companies do the B Corp program partly because they like what B Corp's about and they want to be part of that community.
Yeah.
But mainly my clients will do B Corp because it helps them become a better, fitter, stronger, healthier business.
Yeah.
Irregardless of the B Corp badge, which is a great thing. But the main deal is, how can we make our business stronger and fitter and healthier? So the way we do that is we take them through a program which surfaces a whole load of areas that they might be doing brilliantly on, but it will also surface some areas that they've not thought about or they're not as strong as they could be. And we'll therefore plot out a pathway to help them improve that impact area. So
obviously, I'm a business. I've heard about B Corp. It's really exciting. I can see the possibilities. I understand that it's fair trade, so essentially for business. How do I begin that process? What's my first step that I'll have to do? Say, right, let me take the first step towards B Corp. What would be the first step for you?
Talk to someone who's already been through B Corp. I think that's really useful.
Yeah, I've had a few of those conversations recently.
Reach out to someone like myself. So I'm a trained B leader. And there are about 100 B leaders around the country. There's a B leader directory, so you can get on there, find someone, have a chat to them, and get some help. There are a number of companies that do it themselves, but it's fairly complicated as a process. And I just think you save yourself a lot of time and a lot of headache if you've got some guidance on helping you through that process. I think it's well worth it as well.
Yeah. So from my experience or the journey that we went, obviously there's this questionnaire at the heart of the whole process. You want to talk to us a little bit about where you would find that? Yeah.
So there's a B impact assessment, which is the sort of questionnaire, and that's available for free for any business to use on bimpactassessment.net. And that has been accessed and used by 200,000 companies worldwide. So it's really out there, and thousands and thousands of companies have had a look at that and used that. So there's about 150 to 200 questions. You're never quite sure how many questions there are, because there are a series of gatekeeper questions that when you tick a certain box, that might open up a bunch of other questions. And you're also never quite sure of, people say, well, what's the maximum score that you can get? And again, there's no real fixed answer to that. Because it depends on what gatekeeper questions you've got, what business models are operating within your business that are deemed impactful. So for example, if you change your articles and objects at Companies House to embed social and environmental impact into your objects at Companies House, that will pick up some impact business model points. If your company is employee owned, that will pick up some impact business model points. If you're doing some things in your business specifically environmentally focused, that will pick up impact business model points. So depending on which of these extra sections you might open up, that will determine how many points you can score. But the baseline score for becoming a B Corp is 80 points. And 70% of businesses globally certify between 80 and 85 points. So that's the majority are between 80 and 85 points.
And that said, that's a really good score in itself to get to that score.
So getting 81 points is still a huge achievement, and absolutely something you should be rightly proud of. And those companies that normally score north of 85, 90 points are doing so because they've got a business model embedded into the way they operate that is impactful, like employee ownership or doing something environmentally, saving resources, impact for good, architects designing green buildings and that sort of thing. They would have something about their business that kind of turbocharges them to give them that extra level of points.
And so once let's say the best happens and you get certified, how long does this last? Is it for life or is it?
So you'll recertify once every 3 years.
Right.
And the business impact assessment changes every few years to keep you on your toes. So at the end of 2023, there'll be a new refreshed version of the B impact assessment coming out. At the moment, the impact tool is based on 5 sections, which cover governance, employees, community, environment, and customers. The new impact assessment is going to cover 10 different sections, so it'll be more granular in some of those areas, and you'll need to score a baseline across 6 out of those 10 areas. So it will be a little more difficult to a certain extent, and a lot of companies already find B Corp a stretch, but the main message that we'd want to get across to anyone is it's doable. Any business can do it. There's no such thing as a bad score. There is such a thing as a lower score, but that lower score is just going to give you some insight and information on where you're off the pace and what we can then do to improve that. So that's still not a bad thing. It gives you that extra intelligence, and over the next 6 months to a year, you can spend some time improving those processes and policies within your business. So we'd encourage anyone to have a go. You said, how do you get started? Speak to someone. Log into bimpactassessment.net, but just get started. Whether you just do it quietly off the radar and see as a self-reflective tool how you're doing, or whether you set up a small project team to actually do it in a slightly more meaningful and purposeful way, we would ultimately say just get started.
I mean, one of the things that we did, is just to begin that journey and understand the questions. As you said, you answer one question, it might open 5 more, kind of a bit like your relationship where your wife asks you something, she asks you one question, and then another 6 questions come after that. But the point of it is that, it's you help the organization prepare as well for when it gets officially scored, don't you? That's kind of your role. You're kind of the bridge between the company and B Corp, and making sure that they understand what they're saying yes or no to.
Yeah, for sure. So about halfway through the 10-step program, we have a look at the scores on the doors. We encourage a company to take that score process out to the rest of their business. So it's not just 1 or 2 people within the business that have scored it and say, this is us, but you take it out to the rest of the team and say, this is what we think. What do you think? Because part of the B Corp thing is engaging with a range of stakeholders that includes your colleagues, your customers, your suppliers. It's not just what does the chief exec think and what do they think they score as. It's open to scrutiny from a much wider range of stakeholders. So we do that at around the halfway stage. We also download a scorecard at the halfway stage, and we then say, well, we've scored in this way. Now, have we got the evidence to back that up? So we'll then start to build an evidence base. So when we eventually hit the formal audit from B Lab, we've already built our evidence base. And if we're off the pace in some of those evidence areas, we've got time to change a process, implement a policy, see what we can do better, and then put that into practice within the business. So we help support companies with that whole building the evidence and getting ready for their audit. And that's really where that becoming a better, fitter, stronger, healthier business comes, is in doing that legwork.
Definitely.
That's what stretches you to become that better company than you were at the beginning of the process.
And I think any business owner or entrepreneur or whatever would say that their business is never perfect, but this is a great way to assess it, because obviously businesses can be completely obsessed with the turnover and the profit, and everything else goes by the wayside. Whereas what this does, it says, there's 5 areas. Do you want to just rattle them off for us? What those 5 areas is?
So those areas are governance. So that looks at transparency in the business and what the feedback process is with the directors and with the other parts of the business. So it covers a range of things, and that also covers the embedding the people, planet, and profit into your articles at Companies House.
Yeah.
The next section is workers, which looks at areas like employee health and well-being, ongoing development of the workforce. There's a whole range of different things within the workers section. Next section is community, which looks at your supply chain, contractors that you might use, how you interact with your physical local community. And that would include charities and any charity work you do, contributions you make, volunteer time that your employees might put in each year. So that covers a whole range. Environmental is pretty much what it says on the tin. We help you to measure your carbon footprint and emissions across scope 1, 2, and 3. So that's part of the process. And it's quite new often for quite a lot of businesses to start looking at that. We'll also look at your energy usage, your waste production, water usage, what you can do to manage that, help create a carbon reduction plan. So it's not just we've measured it, here we are, but it's what are we now going to do to improve that? Are we going to set some targets? And then the last section, obviously, is customers. What impact is your business having on customers? How do you care for your customers? What is happening with your customers in terms of their social and environmental impact? So it's quite a wide-ranging program that we go through to actually look at a broad range of what's happening in your business.
Yeah, I think the way that it works, or the way that the journey that it takes you through, for me, it's been great in terms of like everybody beginning to understand what you were trying to achieve. Like Creation set out to put purpose at the heart of business. And I think when the B-Corp stuff come out and we started reading through it, there were like things like our purpose playbook, for example. It was like, it kind of ticked the boxes. So I think there are companies that set out to be purposeful, they might find it a little bit easier to do the questionnaire because they're kind of speaking the right language. But and it's case in point that the companies are not all having to start from scratch. They're probably doing some of the stuff that they're supposed to do, but they've never audited it. So like recycling, they might have a recycling policy, so to speak, but they've never really thought that would count for anything. But in this case, yes, it does. And so that was quite heartening for me, that some of the things we were already doing. So it wasn't like you get this impact assessment and you go, right, I've got all this work to do. It was like, no, you're probably doing some of this already, by the way. And if not, then you'll help them get there.
Yeah, we find that smaller businesses, younger businesses, startup businesses, they find it easier because they can start doing the right thing from the get-go. But they've got a lot of process and policy that is not in place. But because they're small, nimble, agile, they can just say, yeah, we like that, let's do that. That's our DNA now, that's how we're going to operate. But they've got a lot of work to do to put that in place, although we help support them with that, with templates and support and so on and so forth. The more mature businesses and some of the larger businesses have got a lot of that process and policy in place. But they are needing to realign some of that. And because they're a larger organization, it might be more challenging for them to re-engineer their processes that have been in place for a number of years. But we help them navigate through that. So you've got almost two ends of the spectrum. Some have already got a lot of process and policy in place, help them get it re-engineered into a B-Corp friendly portfolio almost. And then the newbies that are actually putting it in place from the beginning. But we've probably got 30 to 40 policy templates that help people not reinvent that wheel, or give them a comparator for what they've got versus what we're suggesting, so they can quickly spot any gaps that they've got and help them become, a little bit better.
So obviously, you get the B Corp, and there's a lot of companies now. Certainly, when we're recommending, so we're doing like Purpose Playbook, we do that half a day with them. We feedback with recommendations as we completed it, and in there we always, almost all the time, recommend that they become a B Corp. Not even if they seem miles off it, is to bring that governance, is bring that alignment to why they started the business in the first place, and that's really helpful. But let's just talk a little bit more about purpose, because I just want to get onto purpose. So what does purpose mean to you, Andy?
I think it's legacy for me. At the end of your life, when you look back, you want to leave a legacy. And you want that legacy to mean something. So for me, I think what gets me out of bed in the morning is that I'm doing something meaningful with my life.
Yeah.
I'm doing something purposeful, something that is going to have a positive impact on the planet. It's going to have a positive impact on the people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, the companies that I interact with. I'm going to leave them at the end of the process in a better place for their people, for their suppliers, for their customers, and for the planet than when I first joined them. And that, for me, gives good meaning to my life. It feels like I'm on a mission almost.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we met a couple of times, didn't we? Just chatting, and he said, I got this, just want to have a natter about something. I remember sat in the coffee shop and you saying, well, this is what I'm looking to do and stuff. And to see how quickly that's changed now, you're getting regular inquiries and stuff like that. Just an example, when you started, how many B Corps were there now? How many B Corps are there now?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, there were about 400.
Yeah.
A year ago, there were about 600. Now there's 1,100. So in November, we went to London and celebrated 1,000 B Corps in the UK.
Wow.
And there's already 1,100. They're certifying about 100 a month in the UK. The UK is the fastest growing B Corp market across the whole world at the moment.
And what's the number worldwide?
About 6,000.
About 6,000 now, yeah. So it's definitely growing in terms of the influence that it has in terms of, numbers. Obviously, people judge things by that. So what I've liked about it is the fact that we've now started doing business with other B Corps, which has been great. They literally said, we were looking for an agency, and the fact that you got the B for B Corp said we could trust you, we knew what you were about, and then we went to your website and so on and so forth. But I think that's the other thing, is there is a community and an ecosphere that runs around B Corp themselves, that you're not got this kite mark and stamp and forget about it, but there's a whole community that exists and events exist.
Yeah, that ecosystem is absolutely crucial and is one of the best bits of fun about the organization, because you're dealing with other positive, purposeful organizations. So there are around or so a dozen B locals around the UK where you get linked up into your area B local. In Bristol and Bath, I'm co-chair of the Bristol and Bath B local. There's 50 or 60 B Corps just in the Bristol and Bath area, and we can all support each other, encourage each other, share best practice with each other. Some of those B Corps in Bristol and Bath have been B Corps for 4 or 5 years, and they've been through a recertification process. So they've picked the low-hanging fruit. They've migrated on to picking the harder-to-reach fruit. So those organizations are absolute gold dust in terms of helping other organizations understand, what the stretches might be in the direction of travel that they could go in terms of just increasing their purpose. Because this is not about a one-off, get the certification, score 81 points, 86 points, whatever it might be. Every 3 years, you'll recertify. And what B Corp want to see is some growth and some improvement and continuing to lean into that purpose and grow in your purpose. So it's not a destination. It is a journey. And, that's one of the best things about using this framework is it will keep stretching you. You can re-benchmark yourself each year. You'll then publish each year an annual social and environmental impact report that says to the world, this is us, we're being transparent. It's not perfect. We've identified areas where we still want to improve next year. But nevertheless, it gives you year on year a tracker for how you're improving year on year. And that's really what B Corp as a family are about, is going on that journey collectively with a community, with an ecosystem of companies that all get you. They've all got those same moral compasses on board that help you all travel. And if you're using other partners within that ecosystem, it just gives you a feeling that they're family. You can trust them, and that you want to be working with people that share those common values that you've got.
So is there any, because you'll get some companies go, oh, that's not for us, or it won't work for us. What's the most interesting company that you've got on your books that you thought it's a bit strange, but obviously become a B Corp?
Yeah, we have a few interesting conversations. So any company that says it's not for us, I'd say that is totally legitimate to think that.
Yeah.
But what we're asking initially is you go through this 10-step program. It's a couple of hours a week across 2 or 3 months. And whether you go B Corp or not, you will discover and find out so much about your business. Don't judge it now. Judge it at the end of 2 or 3 months and then make a decision. So don't write yourself off as it's not for me right now. Give it a go. Even if you don't go B Corp, you'll grow a lot. But some of the conversations that we have are quite interesting and quite nitty-gritty, really. Is a company appropriate to become a B Corp? So I had a conversation last year with a company that were going after a mining opportunity in Africa.
Okay.
And you immediately kind of, there's some alarm bells that start going, but they wanted to take this piece of land, which was a scrubby piece of land. There was no agriculture on it at the moment. The locals were not really using that land. Do some mining, and in 25 years' time, repatriate that land into a better state that was more useful for the community than what it is today.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they would then be building an economy for the next 25 years, providing work. They wanted to do that in the safest possible way so that their health and safety standards were above and beyond what the standard mining safety instructions are. So you then start unpacking those kinds of things and thinking to yourself, well, the world ultimately does need stuff, whatever the minerals were that they were mining. Exactly. That's going to happen. So is it not better to have it mined by a company that cares about repatriation of the land, care of employees, building a community, than a company that doesn't give a stuff about that stuff? Yeah. So it's interesting to have some of those conversations. And coming back to that initial strapline, use business as a force for good. There's going to be business. We need to do business. We need to eat. We need to drink. We need to clothe ourselves. We need to, have transport around the place.
Yeah.
But how can we do that in the best possible way? And how can we do business in the best possible way and use our business as a force for good? So there's a lot of interesting conversations. Most of the companies that I've worked with on the B Corp journey with me so far, it's been preaching to the choir. You alluded to earlier. Yeah. They're already good businesses. You're not working with companies that are bad companies and you're trying to convert them into becoming
the fact that they're aware of it. Yeah.
They're already there. We're helping them go through a framework to identify and put into place and measure how good they are and spot gaps.
Yeah.
But I am interested in working with companies that would consider themselves to be, not great, or the skeptics. I've worked across 200, 250 businesses now with some people that are a little more skeptical than others, and I've really enjoyed the robustness that they've brought to the table because they're skeptical. But I've not had one at the end of the process who is not, being converted to the fact that journey has been a really worthwhile journey for them.
Yeah. I think for me, because it's obviously we're talking very much about the positive side of B Corp. There has been a more controversial one that was awarded a B Corp and has subsequently lost their status.
Yeah. So there are companies out there, and this is the whole point: is B Corp certification is not for life. Yeah. It is something that you need to keep standards. And I think it's a great thing that when there are problems, that there is an escalation process, a formal, transparent escalation process that you can whistleblow or raise an issue on any company. So that's something that's out there. I also think that when a company is flagged using that process, that B Lab don't just do a knee-jerk reaction, that they will formally investigate that properly. They will then come up with a journey that company can go through to improve. And if they go through those improvements, they keep B Corp. And if, in the circumstances with this particular one, they chose not to, then they lose their B Corp. And I think that keeps the whole certification process honest and real and credible. And I think that it's a great thing to do. One of the things I'm really also interested in is there is an act that is trying to go through Parliament at the moment called the Better Business Act.
Yeah.
Now, what the Better Business Act will do is that is going to say that every business is going to have to be honest and transparent about their social and environmental impact. At the moment, most companies say nothing on that subject.
Yeah.
So they can do whatever they want. Yes, they report their annual accounts to Companies House each year. That's a legal requirement. We've all got to do that.
Yeah.
But at the moment, there's no legal requirement to say what you're doing, good, bad, or indifferent, on social and environmental impact. So the Better Business Act is going to try and change that and put it into law that every company has got to come up with an annual social and environmental impact statement. I think that could be a game changer because it will flush out of the shadows companies that are not doing good and actually highlight that.
Yeah.
And why would you want to hide that unless you were doing something dodgy?
Well, it's just, and I think the challenge we've had with, even not wanting to get into politics, but you can look at it in terms of left and right, is that you've just seen how certain things have been said, and then obviously stuff has crept out over a period of time, and to it doesn't really add up. And I think having those things in place keeps everybody on track. So that's really, really positive in terms of businesses going down that route, because you said the measure for most businesses is profit and loss, and that's it. It might be profit and loss, and if the staff are happy, they're good. But this is actually adding a lot more depth to that journey and building better companies and doing better things and employing the right people. Because I think for me, one thing I've seen with the whole B Corp journey is the people that work in those environments, the retention is often higher because they're feeling like they're creating impact. And I think that's the big shift in terms of the age generations, that people just don't want to do work for work's sake. It's like, what impact can I actually have? Or if I've got something that's burning in my heart I want to do, I want to align myself to that company and make sure that they continue doing it.
Yeah, after people have gone B Corp, we have conversations with them and say, well, now you're a B Corp, what difference are you finding it's made to your business a year down track, 2 years down track? One of the things that they regularly cite is we found it easier to attract the right employees in the first place.
Yeah.
We found it easier to retain the employees because they don't want to move to a non-impactful business from an impactful business. They've also found going on the journey has helped them to identify and mitigate risk in their business that they might not have thought about, that could have blindsided them. Yeah. But they've gone through this granular process now, and it's made them think about every aspect of their business that they might not have previously thought about, and then put something in place so that they're not blindsided. A lot of the smaller businesses that are out there looking for funding and looking for backing, if they're B Corp certified, it's a whole load of their due diligence already done for an impact investor. So they see that, and they've got a much higher propensity to therefore invest in that company. So they find it easier to attract the funding that they're after. So there's a whole range of really interesting spin-offs that come from going through that B Corp journey.
So for me, it's that values make you valuable. And I think what B Corp does is help you play tighter and closer to the values. We talk about mission being your why, and we talk about vision being the end game. But values are the thing that help you make the right decisions. And I think B Corp fits in that gap between mission and vision. It makes sure that you are achieving it, and it's giving you even more things to make sure you stay on track and on purpose. So that's what I really like about B Corp. That's what attracted me to say, hey, what is this thing B Corp? I'd done a little bit of research, met you about it, and that's why I gave you the call. And then we began to try and build that way. So I like it for that. There's something else that you're involved with, which you bring into the city of Bristol, and it's a festival. So do you want to tell us about this festival that you're about to launch, and when it is?
We're going to be launching this year Purpose Fest. So each March is B Corp month, a little bit like Fair Trade Fortnight. Yep. And in B Corp month, in March, all of the B Corps, it's their once a year time to really shout about and amplify what the B Corp community are doing. So in the Bristol and Bath B Local, we're going to host this Purpose Fest. So we're going to be celebrating all of the good things that those B Corps are doing. We're going to be celebrating all of the good things that companies that are on their B Corp journey at the moment are going to be doing, and other purposeful businesses from around the city. So we want it to be a celebration. We want it to be a party. We also want it to be an opportunity to learn from each other. So we've got Dan Burgess, who's doing a session on becoming crew.
Yeah.
Don't be a passenger in life. Become part of the crew. What is it you can bring to the party?
Yeah.
Then Erinch Sahan is going to cover off donut economics. The planet we are living on has got planetary boundaries. We can't trade outside those planetary boundaries. Otherwise, there's consequences, be it global warming, be it exploitation. We need to trade within those planetary boundaries. So donut economics covers that. We'll also then have a round table that is looking at diversity and inclusion, and particularly looking at unconscious bias and how we have all got unconscious bias and how we can recognize that and deal with that. And then our final session on the day will look at corporate activism. What can we do as a group of businesses to be more activist and actually bring about and catalyze change in the world, positive change, and what can we do rather than just kind of sleepwalk towards the precipice? There's a lot of things that are happening in the world that are huge, huge challenges. And we as businesses, it's incumbent on us to take action and do something. Going through B-Corp is one thing that you can do, but there's a whole host of other things. So we'll look at that corporate activism piece. And we'll celebrate that within the context of Purpose Fest. And, we're really looking forward to that happening.
Sorry, Andy, that's being held in a building, not in a field in the middle of March, is it?
It's not a tent.
When you say festival, it's not tent.
It's not a tent, but it will have a festival feel. So it's going to be held at Bristol City Council in the main City Hall. And that will be what we're doing. We may well take that subsequently to a tent, maybe on Bristol Downs or somewhere similar to have, that festival feel. But we want the whole event to have a bit of a festival feel, a bit of a vibe. There's going to be music, there's going to be dance, there's going to be a lively day that's going on to really engage people with a bit of a party atmosphere, to celebrate all of the fantastic things that are doing, as well as challenge and inspire and encourage us to do more.
So the last thing I just want to cover is some businesses that want to take a step towards it now. What I recommend is that they have a look at the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals. They're known as SDGs for a lot of people, and just putting a few of those into your business can help you make a closer step towards going down the B Corp route. So the journey that we went on with the SDGs is that we implemented goal number 3, which is good health and well-being, which is a 4-day work week. There are others out there, like life below water, for example. I think one of our accountants are looking to go down that process, and they contribute regularly to Surfers Against Sewerage. So we're talking about SDGs. Do you want to just give us a quick overview and a bit more detail?
Yeah, for sure. So within the B Corp framework, you'll notice on a whole bunch of questions that it highlights which SDG that particular question intersects with. B Lab have built a sister tool to the B Impact Assessment called the SDG Action Manager. So they were commissioned to do that by the UN Global Compact.
Okay, cool.
And so they've got a toolkit. So if a company is specifically interested in the 17 SDGs, they can have a go at filling out that sister toolkit. And the B Impact Assessment and the SDG Action Manager are interactive tools. As long as you sign in with the same sign-in, then when you populate one, it will populate the other, and vice versa. So it's a brilliant additional tool, a bonus tool that you can use, so that if someone comes to you and says, I've heard about B Corp, but I'm mainly interested in what you're doing around SDGs, then you can use that SDG Action Manager as a way of reflecting what you're doing in the business. Yeah,
and the reason why I highlight the importance of it is there are a lot of companies out there cleaning their supply chain, and certainly the larger corporates, and they're using SDGs as a good measuring point to whether they stay on the supply list or whether they take them off. So I've always encouraged people that if you're looking to work with larger companies that we've all heard of, get some SDGs into your business, because it gives you half a chance. It's not always easy to get in there. There's a lot of pitching and knowing the right people, but having SDGs in your business is quite important. And I think we were talking earlier about the much larger companies like Nike and people like that. And, there's some big changes there in terms of they're encouraging people to become B Corp. So I can only see this movement growing. I can only see it getting better and getting stronger. Andy, your vision, which is B Corp, and we're from Bristol, obviously. So it's like the B of Bristol would be B Corp, which I love that as a vision. It's been great. You took us through that journey, and everyone goes, "What's all this you've been up to?" So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for helping us on our journey. It's been great to have you.
Darryl, it's been an absolute pleasure, and let's hope that collectively we can encourage more to go on that journey and become better and fitter, stronger, and use their business as a force for good. That would be a brilliant outcome.
And how would people find you? I mean,
businessonpurpose.uk. They can have a look at that and find us, and we'll be happy to help them in any way.
Thanks so much, Andy.
Thanks, Darryl. Cheers.
Bye. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Purpose People podcast. Just to remind you, you can like and subscribe to us on YouTube and on Apple, Spotify, and Google podcast platforms. You can review us and you can follow us. That really helps us get our message out there that life is better lived on purpose. We trust that you're enjoying the Purpose People podcast, but if you'd like to find out more about putting purpose at the heart of your business, you can contact us today, book a discovery call, and we can discuss how we can help you live a life on purpose.